My beloved, stop. Just stop. Something happened while you were living your ordinary life, while you were scrolling, searching, surviving. Something happened in the realms you cannot see, in the dimensions where light itself bends before the presence of divinity. Your name echoed through corridors of crystal and fire. Your name was spoken in the throne room of eternity, and you have no idea, but Archangel Michael does. He stands now at the edge of your reality, his sword not drawn for war but trembling with urgency. He is screaming, not in anger, but in desperation. Because what he sees coming for you, what he knows is about to slip through your fingers if you turn away from this moment. It would break your heart if you could see it as clearly as he does. 10 seconds, that is all heaven is giving you. 10 heartbeats before the door swings shut and the blessing redirects to another soul, someone else who will carry what was carved with your name since before the foundations of time were laid. Listen to me, feel the weight of this moment pressing against your chest. That is not anxiety, that is recognition. Your soul remembers the sound of heaven calling. Your spirit knows the frequency of divine intervention, and right now, in this fragile, trembling instant, everything you have survived, everything you have suffered, every tear you have cried into the darkness when no one was watching, it all led to this threshold. Do not close this. Do not click away. Do not let your logical mind convince you this is just another message, just another voice in the digital noise. This is the voice, the one the angels begged heaven to let them deliver, the one written in scrolls of light with your name burning at the top. You were not supposed to find this by accident. There are no accidents in the kingdom of the divine. You were led here, pulled here, summoned here by forces that love you more than you have ever loved yourself. Michael himself cleared the path, cutting through the distractions, the algorithms, the 1,000 other directions your attention could have gone, and he stands now waiting, watching, hoping you will finally hear what heaven has been shouting into the void of your doubt. The air around you is different now. Can you feel it? That subtle shift, like the atmosphere before a storm, when the very molecules rearrange themselves in preparation for something massive. That is heaven bending low, that is the veil growing thin, that is your moment materializing from the realm of promise into the realm of now. But here is what you need to understand. This message, this moment, it exists in a window, and windows close. Heaven does not operate on human schedules or human patience. The divine moves in precision, in perfect timing, in moments so specific that if you blink, if you hesitate, if you let fear or doubt or the voice of the enemy whisper one more lie into your spirit, you will miss it. And Michael says, if they miss it this time, the book closes. The chapter ends, their miracle gets reassigned. Not because God stopped loving them, but because they stopped listening. So breathe, slow down. Let your racing heart find its rhythm again. Because what I am about to tell you will rearrange your understanding of everything you thought you knew about your life, your struggles, your purpose. You have been fighting battles you could not name. You have felt trapped in cycles that repeated with such precision you started to believe they were your destiny. You have looked in the mirror and wondered why, despite your prayers, despite your faith, despite your efforts, the doors kept closing, the blessings kept delaying, the breakthrough remained just out of reach, and you thought it was you. You thought maybe you were not worthy enough, not faithful enough, not strong enough. You carried guilt like stones in your pockets, weighing down every step. You whispered apologies to God for being a disappointment, for not being the person you thought heaven needed you to be. But listen to me now, beloved, listen with every fiber of your being. It was never about your worthiness. It was never about your failure. Heaven was holding back the blessing, not as punishment, but as protection. God was keeping the door closed, not because you were unready, but because what was waiting on the other side was so magnificent, so life-altering, so destiny-shifting that you needed to be strong enough to carry it without being crushed by its weight. And Michael leans close now, his voice like thunder wrapped in silk, and he says, "They are ready. Tell them they are ready. Tell them the waiting is over. The veil is lifting." Right now, as you read these words, as you feel the strange warmth spreading through your chest, as your eyes begin to blur with tears you cannot explain, the spiritual atmosphere around your life is shifting. Things that were locked are unlocking. Doors that were sealed are groaning open. Angels that were waiting for divine permission are being released into your timeline with instructions written in fire. Protect them, restore them, elevate them. Now, but there is something else, something darker, something Michael has been fighting in the shadows while you slept. Someone close to you, someone whose face you trust, whose voice sounds like friendship, whose smile seems genuine, they have been speaking against you, not openly, not in ways you could prove, but in quiet rooms, in private conversations, in moments when they thought heaven was not listening. They have been planting seeds of poison around your name. Your soul has felt it. Those uneasy moments when something felt off but you could not explain why. Those nights when you could not sleep, when your spirit was restless for reasons your mind could not grasp. That was not paranoia, that was discernment, that was heaven trying to warn you, trying to wake you up, trying to show you what your heart already knew but your loyalty refused to accept. And Michael has seen every whisper, he has recorded every plot. He has stood between you and the full force of their envy, their schemes, their curses. But now heaven says, enough. It is time to expose what was hidden. It is time to shine light into shadows, not to hurt you, but to free you. Because you cannot walk into your destiny carrying relationships that are designed to drain it. You cannot step into your blessing while holding hands with people who are praying for your delay. God cannot pour into a vessel that has holes punctured by betrayal. And right now, as you feel your chest tighten, as a face flashes across your mind, as recognition burns through your denial, that is not your imagination. That is truth breaking through. That is your spirit finally being allowed to see clearly what it has sensed all along. Michael says, release them, or the blessing stays stuck, walk away, or the miracle remains just beyond reach. This is not cruelty. This is mercy. This is God loving you enough to tell you the truth that others were too afraid to speak. Pause here. Take a breath. I know this hurts. I know this shakes the foundation of what you believed about certain people, but pain that leads to freedom is not your enemy. Truth that stings is still medicine, and heaven would rather you feel the temporary ache of revelation than the permanent tragedy of deception. You are standing at a crossroads. On one side is the familiar path, the one where you keep pretending everything is fine, where you keep giving chances to people who keep taking advantage, where you keep hoping that somehow, magically things will change without you having to make the hard choice. That path leads to more of the same, more delays, more heartbreak, more confusion about why your breakthrough never comes. On the other side is the path of courage, the path where you trust what your spirit knows. The path where you honor the warning heaven is giving you. The path where you release what is draining you, and make room for what is meant to bless you. That path is harder. It requires faith over feelings, it demands obedience over comfort, but it leads to everything you have been praying for. And Michael stands at the fork in this road, his sword pointing toward the path of freedom, and he says, choose now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, because the window is open, but it will not stay open forever. Let me tell you something that will break your heart and heal it in the same breath. The one you lost, the one whose absence still echoes in the quiet moments, the one you think about when you see certain places, hear certain songs, remember certain conversations, they are here. Right now, in this moment, in the space between heaven and earth where souls who love us are allowed to reach back across the veil when something matters enough, and this matters. They begged heaven for this. They pleaded with God to give them one more chance to speak to you, one more opportunity to warn you, one more moment to tell you what they could not say when they were alive because they did not know, or because they knew but thought they had more time, or because the words got stuck in the space between intention and courage. Can you feel them? That sudden warmth on your shoulder, like an invisible hand resting there, that memory flooding in without invitation, sharp and clear as if it happened yesterday. That heaviness in your throat, those tears building behind your eyes for reasons you cannot quite explain, it is them they are saying, do not give up now. Do not believe the lie that you are walking alone. I am still here, still watching, still guiding. I see what you cannot see. I know what is coming, and you have to trust this message. You have to believe that heaven would not allow me to reach you like this if it was not absolutely critical to your future. They left this world with your name in their heart. Their last thoughts were tangled with worry for you, with love for you, with hopes for you, and when they crossed into light, when they saw the bigger picture, when they understood the battles you were still fighting and the traps you were still walking toward, they could not rest. They asked Michael, they petitioned the throne, they offered their own eternal peace as collateral for one chance to get this message to you. That is how much you are loved. That is how important your destiny is. That is how desperate heaven is for you to wake up before you make the decision that could set you back 7 years. Listen, the next 14 days are holy. They are charged with significance. They carry signs that will shock you with their precision. You will see the number 7 again and again, in times, in amounts, in unexpected places. You will hear words echo, phrases repeat. Conversations circle back to themes that feel like they were plucked from this message. You will have dreams that are sharper, clearer, more vivid than any you have had in years. These are not coincidences, these are confirmations. These are heaven's way of saying this message was real, the warning was accurate. The blessing is moving, but here is what most people miss. Signs are not just for comfort, they are for obedience. When you see the confirmation, you have to act. When the evidence appears, you have to make the hard choice. When God validates the message, you have to trust it over your feelings, over your logic, over the opinions of people who were not in the room when heaven spoke your name. Michael says, watch what happens in the next 48 hours. Something will shift. Someone will reveal themselves, either through unexpected kindness that confirms they are for you, or through subtle betrayal that proves they are not. A door will crack open, an opportunity will present itself, or a conversation will happen that feels like it was scripted specifically for this moment, and when it happens, you will know. Your soul will recognize it. Your spirit will feel the click of pieces falling into place, and in that moment you must choose. Obedience or comfort, faith or fear, destiny or delay. God is whispering now, not in commands but in invitation. I will not let you walk blind anymore. I will open your eyes to see what was always there but hidden by the fog of manipulation, by the smoke of spiritual warfare, by the shadows that others cast over your path, hoping you would stumble. I will uncover what they thought you would never discover. I will restore what they thought you would never recover. I will elevate you in the sight of those who thought you would never rise. But you have to stay in this moment, you have to resist the urge to click away, to dismiss this as emotional manipulation, to let your rational mind talk you out of what your spirit knows is true, because the enemy is terrified right now. The darkness sees you reading this, sees you feeling the shift, sees heaven moving on your behalf, and it is throwing everything it has at you to distract you, to make you doubt, to convince you this is all too good to be true. If you feel resistance, that is confirmation. If you feel the urge to stop reading, that is evidence this message is hitting the target. If something in you is fighting against the hope rising in your chest, that is spiritual warfare recognizing that you are about to break free from the cage it spent years building around your destiny. Michael lifts his sword now, not to fight, because the battle for your future is already won, but to seal this moment, to mark this day in the courts of heaven as the day you stopped running from your calling, stopped doubting your worth, stopped letting fear and betrayal and disappointment write the final chapter of your story. This is sacred. This is sealed. This is the turning point. You have been exhausted, beloved. You have carried weights no one could see, fought battles no one applauded, survived nights no one knew about. You have given strength you did not have, offered grace you did not feel, kept faith when every logical reason to believe had been stripped away, and you wondered if God saw, if heaven noticed, if any of it mattered. It all mattered. Every tear was collected. Every prayer was recorded. Every moment you chose to keep going when quitting would have been easier, that was written in books of gold and spoken of in rooms of light where angels gather to witness the remarkable courage of ordinary humans choosing extraordinary faith. And today, God says, I will reward the secret battles with public miracles. I will restore what they tried to take from you, not just to heal the wound but to prove that my protection was always covering you, even when you thought you were exposed. I will elevate you not just to bless you but to silence the voices that said you would fail, to shut the mouths that spoke death over your future, to prove that my plans for you cannot be derailed by the schemes of those who envy what they can never become. This is not just about survival anymore. This is about inheritance, about legacy, about the story that your children and their children will tell when they speak of the moment everything changed, when they trace the timeline of blessing back to this day. This hour, this decision. Heaven is not offering you a comfortable life. Heaven is offering you a powerful life, a life that matters, a life that shifts atmospheres when you walk into rooms, a life that breaks generational curses and establishes generational blessings, a life that the enemy fears and the angels celebrate. But power requires responsibility. Blessing requires readiness. Destiny requires sacrifice, and the sacrifice heaven is asking of you right now is this. Let go of what is familiar but toxic, release who is comfortable but draining. Walk away from what feels safe but keeps you stuck. You know who they are. You know what needs to go. Your spirit has been whispering it for months, maybe years. But you ignored it because you were loyal, because you were hopeful, because you did not want to believe that someone you loved could be working against you. But Michael says loyalty to the wrong person is betrayal of your own destiny. Staying where God is telling you to leave is disobedience disguised as faithfulness. And every day you delay the hard choice is another day the blessing remains locked behind a door that will only open when you prove you value your future more than your comfort. This is the test. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you for. Not to hurt you, but to see if you are finally ready to trust God more than you trust people, to believe in divine protection more than you believe in human approval, to walk by faith into the unknown, rather than by sight into the familiar. And if you pass this test, if you make the hard choice, If you trust the warning and obey the instruction, Michael says, the floodgates will open. Blessings you could not contain will pour into your life, doors you did not even know existed will swing wide, opportunities that seemed impossible will suddenly become inevitable, and you will look back on this moment and weep, not in sorrow but in gratitude, that heaven loved you enough to tell you the truth even when the truth was hard to hear. But if you ignore this message, if you let doubt win, if you choose comfort over courage, the blessing will not disappear. God does not stop loving you, but it will be reassigned, given to someone else who is ready to carry it, and you will spend years wondering what could have been, what should have been, what would have been if only you had trusted heaven when heaven was screaming your name. So breathe deeper this time. Feel your heart settle into a rhythm that matches the heartbeat of divine intention. Feel the fear losing its grip, the doubt releasing its hold, the faith rising like dawn breaking over mountains that have stood in darkness for far too long. You are not the same person who started reading this message. Something shifted in you, something awakened. Something that was dormant for years suddenly remembered its purpose, its power, its permission to take up space in the world without apologizing for existing. Michael smiles now because you stayed, because you listened, because you chose to believe that maybe, just maybe, this message was meant for you, written for you, delivered to you at this exact moment because heaven knows your name, knows your story, knows your future, and refuses to let you miss it. The next 7 days are holy. The next 48 hours are critical. The next moment is yours. Watch for the signs. Trust your discernment. Make the hard choice, and step into the destiny that has been waiting patiently for you to finally believe you are worthy of it. You are not walking into a miracle, beloved, you are becoming one. You are not waiting for breakthrough, you are the breakthrough. You are not hoping for change, you are the change that shifts the atmosphere of everyone connected to your bloodline, your future, your purpose. Heaven has spoken. Michael has delivered the message. Your loved one has reached across the veil to add their voice to the chorus, and now, the only question that remains is this: will you believe? Will you obey? Will you trust? The door is open, the hand of God is stretched toward you, the blessing is released. All that is left is for you to take the step, make the choice, walk through the threshold into everything you were created for, everything you were destined to become, everything the enemy tried to convince you was impossible. You are loved, you are seen, you are chosen. And your story is not over. It is just beginning. Now walk forward, crowned in silence, covered in power, carrying the proof that when heaven speaks and a willing heart listens, miracles are not the exception. They are the inevitable result of faith meeting obedience at the intersection of divine timing and human courage. Amen.